evening. Hey, we are back to season number 5. And what way better to kick it off is with RayeQueen Self-Care Corner. We welcome you. I'm Dr. Michelle Bolden Hammond, and I'm here with RayeQueen Self-Care Corner. And look, we have a lot to unwrap. I told you during the break, there was more things beefing up. So, Dr. Ray, how are you?
Hello, peace and blessings to everyone. It's so good to be back. Feels like forever, huh?
I know that break, but you know what? The break went by really, really fast.
Yeah.
It went by really fast. It went by real fast. But there's so much happening with HPOC. You know, as we said, we are about we heal ourselves, we heal our communities. So there is something that's jumping off next week, and I don't know, it might be a little bit too late, or today's the last day that they can sign up. You tell me what's going on.
It's not too late. They can still register until the 3rd. And if they do a late registration, we can talk about it. It's going to be a little more difficult to navigate, but we can talk about it. And then for those who can't make it in person, they can always join us virtually, and they have until the 9th to sign up for the virtual registration.
All right. So you have heard it. And we have a lot to talk about, a lot to wrap up, and a lot to talk because there's a lot of initiatives. You know, for those of you viewers who have seen Dr. Ray on here before, it's all about advocacy, wellness for our people of color. I know, there's an all factor, but this is basically on the mission for talk about these disparities, how our culture has been misrepresented for different things that we believe in. And, you know, this is why it is important that we learn about our culture. And I mean, deep dive into our culture. So the first question I have for you, Dr. Ray, is what inspired the creation of such a dedicated holistic health conference for professionals of color?
Ooh, the inspiration was, oh my goodness. So I've been on this journey for a long time, right? I have a bunch of certifications and degrees, and I didn't learn from people who look like me. And I knew because unofficially I was sitting at the feet of people who did look like me, people like Dr. Africa and Dr. Sabi and all these great heroes that came before us, Jewel Pookrum, who were actually teaching me about the role that our ancestors played in our healing, and also the differences with melanin and how that affects our healing. And so I went through all the processes and got all the proper certifications and licensing and all the ridiculousness, only to feel like I still was undereducated when it came to healing our people, right? And so I said, you know what? I have to do something about this. And the Most High, I always tell people, this is an assignment. The Most High told me, this is what you're going to do. You're going to mobilize other people, because I wasn't by myself. I'm not the only one who felt that way. And as I reached out to many people, they felt like I felt the same way. Like, I'm tired of arguing with my teachers. I'm tired of asking them, can I submit Dr. Africa as a reference? And they would say no. They got tired of that, right? And so I did too. I said, I'm going to mobilize these people. I'm going to bring all of us together so we can form a network, and so we can, bounce ideas off each other, learn with each other, educate, grow, build, support each other. And so that's what I did. 2018, I started that process. COVID hit. We kind of put us to a little slow down. But again, this is an assignment. So even when I wanted to stop and say, nah, I'm not going to do it, this is too hard, there's too many obstacles, the Most I was like, girl, cut it out. Get up, dust yourself off, and keep going. So that's what I've done. And I've been fortunate, so grateful to come across people like you, Dr. Michelle Bolden Hammond, and people like other people that you know about, Dr. Jocelyn, Sister Tanzania, Lakeisha, all these wonderful people who believe in the mission, right? Believe in the necessity for something like this to happen for our communities, to heal themselves and heal our communities. And so that's the backstory of it all. And now 2025, 7 years later, here we are getting ready for our 4th national conference. And so I'm super excited about that.
I'm excited too. From when the graduation that's coming up, so many things that's backhanded, that a lot that goes on in this. A lot of people wouldn't realize what really goes on in the. And I know, because you're having people coming in from all across the region, all across from the United States. And some people may be looking at it globally, because I do know that there's times that, people who have spoken in through, some, just give out some key things that be going on during this process of the conference. Can you name some of the hitters that you have? Because I'm excited from what I saw from the itinerary.
Oh, this year is going to be awesome. And we're international this year. One of our speakers is coming from outside of the country this year. So we are officially international with our presenters. We have, oh my gosh, in addition to the wonderful stuff we always offer, we always have multiple workshops going on simultaneously. We always have the graduation ceremony, which I'm so honored to announce that you are this year's graduation speaker. Woo-hoo, raise the roof. So you guys get to see Dr. Michelle Bowden-Hammond in all her glory, send our graduates off or welcome our graduates into the fold. And so I'm looking forward to that. We have some major announcements. We're doing some awesome collaborations with everything from herbalist societies, national health freedom organizations, new accreditation organizations. I mean, there's some major announcements that's going to happen at this year's conference. And everything is designed to help our practitioners in our community level up their practice, right? Everything you need to level up your practice, to really plant your feet firmly in what you do. Everything at the conference will help you to support that.
Yeah, because and look, audience, I'm going to give you a brief of what it looks like. So if you want to go look up more, we're going to actually give you the website and stuff too a little bit later before we end the show. But this is what it is. We are healers, strength and unity, power and community.
Hey,
that's it. Because that is so important, and it's so key, because if our communities would get unified, if they could understand the power that we have to tap in with a whole lot, and it's kind of hard, because Dr. Ray and myself, it's kind of hard sometimes when we're dealing with our own, it's like we're talking foreign when you talk about a lot of things, but then when the chips are really down, something really clicks on, like, what is this all about? So that's why I said it's good that you're having this conference. I know, as for me, because it can get tough sometimes when people ask you the questions, what does this do? But I also want to put out this disclaimer too, because it's from a holistic standpoint. It will take longer. It's not going to be nothing instant.
Right.
I think that's what a lot of it is, because we're so used to having that instant. Oh, it's so instant. It will take some time for some herbs to work longer for it to really work. You have to sit back and wait. It's all about being patient. Mm-hmm. It's just like you as a farmer, you go and plant the seed. Well, just because you put the seed in the ground, does that mean it's going to come up right away? It takes a lot of germination. It takes a lot of soil. It takes a lot of everything in that. And that's one of the good things that I'm glad. That just gave me an epiphany right there, just like that, because you're having that. You're having someone show about growing food, because now is a destined time that we need to learn that as a community. Because look, food prices is terrible.
And the food that you're buying at a ridiculous price is not good for you anyway. You know what I mean? A lot of times it's full with all these preservatives and pesticides and nitrates. Too much. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. So, again, how does this conference aim to expand? Like you said, we got so much stuff there. You got so many resources. Because look, I told my Maryland chapter Eastern Shore team, I said, look, be ready for the meeting of Nala Week, because we're taking action. We're taking action. We're gonna be more, and I'm so glad that there's 2 more new people that's closer in the DMV area, which I already reached out. I'm looking at that collaboration.
I know that's right.
But the aim to expand the opportunities for holistic practitioners of color. Again, you're talking about networking. From me being in the place last year, there was a lot of possibility, and I will say truth in this for those of you or viewers who watch. And that's one of the God-given gifts that God gives me, is about collaboration, networking. I've seen a lot of people, and it has opened up the possibilities. You will want to be in the room, especially if you're a practitioner. Even if you're thinking about assuming, because let me say, if you're sitting on the back wall watching, I tell you, I will guarantee you, you will be up being moving within the next month after all the gainful information that you gain. I'm just being for real about it. So I know that's what you said. And then you talk about the partnerships, the collaborations that are being highlighted. Because like you said, you having someone international that's coming in. People don't understand the height and the stand of doing things because, again, we might have tariffs, but just building that relationship can overspan those tariffs. So how do you feel? How do you feel about all in that? Because that for me is, when I said that, look at Zaire, I was like, wow.
That's why community is so important. That's why organizations like HPOC are so important, because of course we provide the education and resource and give you some skills and some tools for your toolbox, right? That's all very important. But also equally important is having relationship, right? When you have a relationship with somebody who's in these other places all around the world, you still have access to things that you might not otherwise have access to when the government gets their paws on certain things and starts to affect the what do you call it? There's a word I'm missing with anyway, how supplies get to us, right? Supply and demand.
The tariffs,
right?
Your tariffs,
and the supply chain, through the supply chain. That's the word I'm looking for, right? When that happens, you don't have to worry as much. You don't have to, start making a bunch of provisions, because when you have community, when you have that network available to you, right? You don't have to worry. We have people in Ghana that can get stuff to us, right? We have people in Mexico that can get stuff to us. We have people in Jamaica. We have people in our network who are willing. They're down for the movement. They're down for their people. They're down to heal our communities. And so they're willing to help. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what all this other stuff happens, because we have a direct pipeline to some of the resources that we need. So you want to be in the building, because that networking piece is paramount. And I'm going to tell you, there was nothing like HPOC before I started it, right? This is not me bragging, because the guy told me to do this. But since we've started HPOC, I've seen so many people come together and collaborate and support each other and grow each other's businesses, because we're now connected to other people who do things similar to what they do. That's the valuable part about HPOC for me. That was my whole mission in the beginning, was to mobilize us so that we could have that network and depend on each other. And that has happened. That piece has happened. There's some other things that I might be a little disappointed about, but that piece I stand proud of. So proud that I was able to connect us and do things with each other and support each other.
Yeah, that there is the whole big piece for me. I'm all about collaboration, and I think, again, if we are the practitioners, we should have these resources available to us, especially for network chain, because, again, what may be done in the South may not be what's done up in the North. You know what I mean? But people are migrating, people are moving around. So, hey, I should want to call on one of my sisters in the South to say, hey, there's some practices that they have with some moss, some Spanish moss. Can you give me some of those tactics on some of them healing practices that you can use with Spanish moss? So those typical things like that's so much powerful for me. But on the other hand,
you know what, before you go on, I want to mention also, you don't feel isolated, because oftentimes we're by ourselves. We're the only person in our community who are talking this way. And sometimes other people in our communities don't get our language. They don't understand that a lot of stuff has been colonized, and they think it's against the Bible. They think it's against religion. They think it's against God. They think it's against their culture and their traditions, and it's not. But oftentimes we feel like we're all by ourselves in our communities. And so it feels good. It feels good to have somebody else who's doing the same thing you're doing, who's talking the same language you're talking, and experiencing the same thing in their community that they're experiencing, with trying to make our people understand this is of God, baby. This is of God. It's not against it. So just have to throw that piece in.
And You know, that's one of my, I'm gonna be calm. I'm just coming in. See, Dr. Ray, you trying to start me up in the season
Okay.
already. But we'll have to save that for another time, because
Okay.
you just hit it on the head. Because sometimes I feel alone, but when I see the people come, or a lot of people like, oh, you out there in the woods with the people. Okay, but it's the point of people being healed. See, to me, healing to me don't have no color. So if that's my realm to do and my duty to do, so be it. I have to be in that place, but I'm not going to stick around, as they say. You believing that this is not what it's supposed to be, but then you sit back and look at it, but you're observing. So that, I feel what you're saying about, feeling sometimes alone, but I know that's my calling. Like you said, I'm not giving up on my calling, no matter what your feelings is or however, but I'm just, so one of the things that I love the fact that you talked about too, and what another thing that you can gain from this conference is, because we know that there's still a lot of disparities when it comes down to healthcare in our people of color. Period. We know that there is, because again, you said it. Things have been colonized, things have been, gatekept, or some of these practices that were done in our eras or long before our eras, but we hear about it. We done sat around and hear the older folks, talk about what was being done. But one of the things I like that you will gain also from this is when you talking about the equity. It's building the facts and the foundations of that. It should be equal, the same, not based upon your color. Now that goes down to, let's put this disclaimer: we're not anti-medicine, because we do believe if you need to take medicine, you need to take your medicine. But one of the things is why we are practitioners and why we are people who are caring for our people of color is because, hey, you seeing right now, most of the time I know I'm right on this. We have our people of color, mostly the ones with heart disease, kidney failure, diabetes, all that type of stuff, right? So now we see that we have those medications that people are taking due for these, chronic illnesses, right? But now you're seeing the shortfall because other people who are wealthy enough because they want to get skinny, they're buying it, and now insurances are denying it, right? So here's why HPOC is here. We are here, and I'm about to get ready to go on a soapbox. Dang, I tell you, Dr. Ray, you do this, you bring this out to me all the time. Here's the soapbox, and here's the most key thing. We're here as an intervention. Don't look at us because of the practices that we do but we're here as an intervention. You might be saying, Dr. Michelle's crazy. What are you talking about? I'm talking about because we're here as an intervention. Because right now, I can tell you that we don't go for studies due to what was happening to us years ago. This is why metformin, those type of things don't work with us for people, because we're not going for the studies. But this is why we're here, to bring equality in healthcare. We need to have that trust. You want to have people who look like you.
Yep.
You want to have people that look like you. You want to have people who are practitioners who can help and guide you to give you those certain questions and types that you need to ask in the case that you need to go and get some of this stuff. But we're not anti-medicine, but we're telling you some of the things that we know and some of the practices that we do fills with the mind, the body, and the soul. And here I go, because a lot of people don't think because you do yoga that's you're worshiping a god, or you don't know. Scientifically, look at the benefits of yoga. It actually can help with movement. It can help release with pain release. When we're talking about mind practices in a holistic type of way, I can just say this too, because I've been heard, through the grapevine, because I use the sound. Well, Dr. Ray, am I lying? If you're looking out now, sound is getting ready to become a medicine.
Yep.
There are so many studies, and I'm gonna tell you, because your person who is in charge of the FDA, he will have it that way. And see, that's where we're saying interventions. We're just here being interventions. But we want to do the interventions right, that we are fairly treated equally in our practices. Because again, you've seen it a couple weeks on the news last week. You talked about how Mississippi numbers with maternal births high is exploding because that is a service. Thank God that I'm here as a doula, that I can represent my people of color, or any burden, I'm just saying. But my practice is that I'll be able to understand more, and maybe because I'm as that intervention in the room, when that sister say that she's in pain, well, you need to check that out. It's not just because she can take pain more, pressed because she's of color. That's where we're intervention. So that's where we look at the equality of that. So you want to expand any more on that, Dr. Ray? Because I will be here forever.
Yeah. I agree with everything you said. There has to be a bridge, right? HPOC can all act as bridge builders. A lot of my clients historically have been people who just did not understand what their doctors were telling them. People who just did not understand what they were labeled with, the disease they had, the medication they were taking. They just didn't understand it, because we know they do a horrible job of explaining anything, right? They use all the medical terminologies, and we get scared and we just go with it, right? And that's only for those of us who actually participate in the medical system, because to your earlier point, there's a history of systemic racism, a history of medical racism that has made my parents and my parents' parents and my parents' parents hesitant to go into a medical facility, because historically we've gone in for one thing, come out with another. We've gone in for a cough, came out as a medical experiment, right? And that's not racist on my part. Those are the facts. Those are the facts. And so one of the things that HPOC University does is we educate on social healing justice. So for us, healing is not just about the physical body, it's about the historical medical trauma that we have to discuss as well if we want to heal entirely, holistically. And so absolutely, HPOC is all about building those bridges and building our own tables, first of all, because we have to build our own table first before we can ask for a seat at their table. We've been asking for a seat at their table for far too long, generations upon generations. It hasn't happened. So we're going to build our tables, and then two tables can come together and have a discussion, because we're not seen as valid until we create our own. And that's what we're doing.
I love it. And you are the founder of that. You know, as you're talking about, you just said some key things there about certifications. A lot of people, so I know a lot of people, I know you see Facebook flooded with the fists, the powerful fists, and the brown. That is us. That is us. So I've been favored to actually do a couple of classes to get some people through some stuff. But I love it when you talk about, you're even at this conference given an opportunity before the conference starts. You're doing special trainings for certifications. Yeah. You want to talk about those?
Yes, this is the first time we're doing that. So if you come in a day early, you can get certified in 3 different areas, and they tend to be some of our top selling programs for the most part. So if you want to become a holistic health practitioner, if you want to become a certified herbalist or a certified death doula, you can come in a day before the conference and pay $50 and get these in-person classes, certifications done. What I've noticed over the years is there are some people who don't like the online learning. They prefer the in-person structure. I get it. You want to talk to your instructor in real time. It makes complete sense. And so this year we're going to offer that. If you come in a day early, you can get certified, a whole certification in an abbreviated amount of time in one of those 3 different areas. So if you want to get your certification, come a day early, get certified, leave the conference with not just a bunch of knowledge, but with some actual certifications that you can walk away with.
See, and then not only on top of that, here recently, just past the summer, because we get ready to move into fall, there were opportunities to do weekend courses where you can go in and do pop-up. It was like pop-in. So are those any more of those becoming towards more anymore coming out pretty soon, maybe after the conference, once you dwindle down from that? But yeah, I those were very beneficial because you just had one in Atlanta.
Yes, it was so much fun. Yes, they're ongoing. We're doing HPOC regional clinicals throughout the year. And so I believe the next one is in Dallas or Chicago. Those are the two that we're trying to narrow down. And so that's another opportunity for people to come in and get some hands-on experience. The ones we just did in Atlanta were the herbalism class. So they actually got to touch, taste, smell, maneuver. They learned how to decipher which type of herb is which type of herb. It just makes a difference when you're in person. And we also did the pH testing, because pH testing will give you so much information when you're working with your clients. And Dr. Janisa Bowden taught that class. It was awesome. And also iridology. And so I don't know what classes will be offered in October, but we are planning another HPOC regional clinical, and they will happen about every other month or so in a city or state close to you. So if we're in Atlanta or we're in Chicago and that's too far from you, just wait a month or 2 or 3, and we'll be in a town near you where you can just drive your car up and get these hands-on experiences.
All right. So I see what our Maryland people can do.
Yes.
Get a DMV region, because there's 3 of us here in Maryland. Maryland on the line, DC.
That's where it needs to be. You sure right, Dr. Michelle. I think we talked about that. It might be there too.
So hey, we'll talk with the rest. I have to talk with the rest of the ladies.
I know your region is growing. Your region is growing, and with Dr. Michelle at the lead of that, because she's the leader in that area. She is the head chapter in charge.
All righty. So next we're talking about, because again, we know that HPOC has a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of initiatives that you do with your chapters and different there. So we know like September, there's something coming up that would be very beneficial for you if you have children. So Dr. Raye, do you want to go in and explain to the audience what is September's initiative based around through the holistic of HPOC?
Okay. Yeah, so we have we celebrate holistic health months right throughout the year. And in September, we're doing holistically healthy kids. And that's the month all of our chapters will go into the local communities and work directly with our young babies. The goal is to make sure they inherit health and not health disparities. Say that again. We want our babies to inherit health, not health disparities, because we've been taught the messaging is that Black people are automatically susceptible to high blood pressure, automatically susceptible to diabetes, and that's just our fate. And our kids grow up hearing those messages. By the time they're 24, 25, 30, and they say you have diabetes, they say, yeah, well, my mom and dad and my daddy had it. It runs in my family. And they believe that's just their reality. It absolutely is not. And so we want to make sure that we get to our babies when they're young and start to reprogram that messaging that they're going to receive, so they know that they can inherit health and not health disparities. So go to holisticprofessionalsofcolor.org, find out what's happening in your local city, and sign your babies up. Your nieces, your nephews, your grandbabies, whatever children you have in your life, sign them up for whatever's going on in your city.
That's good, because I've already see it was so easy for me because I already work with a youth group. So I've already planned what we're going to do on. And then it's also into another initiative that I'm under the University of Utah that they're doing for, bringing health, at least a year program where they at least want, if a child is obese or unhealthy weight, they at least want them to either gain with their 1% or lose 1%. And that's including the whole family. So the parents won't just sit home and bring your kids here. It's a whole activity plan that they have to do. But for my group, I'm actually doing them to do the water challenge, for them to take it through, and hopefully they can get it all the way through the school system like that. So
nice.
So
nice.
Yeah, now run through and do what we do. So yeah. So again, Dr. Raye, we're about to get ready to close this out. So is there anything that you want to leave on the note that really they got to get there? But again, I love the fact too that it's also virtual. So you don't have to leave the comforts of your home. You'll be able to stay home and look at the conference virtually.
Yep, you can do it virtually for $169. You can avoid having to pay for a plane ticket and pay for your hotel and all of that. Just log in the day of the conference, and all the workshops will be available to you for $169. But if you can come in person, I highly encourage it, because virtual is awesome, but there's nothing like feeling the presence, the energy of all these beautiful people in the room, all there for a unified purpose and a unified cause. So if you can come, please come. Invest in yourself. I know a lot of people are pinching pennies and they're baiting, but if you're taking yourself out to eat tonight and tomorrow night and the night after that, you can afford to come to the conference, because I know how much it costs to eat out. You're investing in these meals that aren't nutritious. Invest in your health. Even if you're not a practitioner, you can come to the conference and get some information you can take back to your families, help your husbands, your wives, your children to heal themselves. Invest in yourself. Come to this conference. Leave a changed person.
I will say you will be changed, and you never know who's in the room, because I tell you, And not a part of that, we also had the advocacy part. Before I leave, forgot I can't leave my boy Steve out. I can't leave. If you are someone who, you want to start, you don't know, there's a lot of laws and, a lot of things that's going on in the country. There's also someone that will be there that can actually help you along on how to start if you want to become a freedom, in there. So there is can you tell a little bit more about that organization too, Dr. Raye?
Yeah, so we partner with a couple of different organizations, and one of them has been the Health Freedom Action Coalition. And what they do is they're on the front lines of fighting for legislation for us to practice legally. It's a challenge, and it varies from state to state. And so it's not like a one size fits all type of a thing. And so the Health Freedom Action Coalition, they will help you in your state to make sure you have the right to practice whatever you're practicing in the holistic realm. And so you can learn more about that, how to become an advocate in your city or state. And I know historically a lot of us don't participate. I'm one of them legislatively. But if you're passionate about this work, you're going to have to get involved with the legislation and the advocacy. And it's not hard. It doesn't take a bunch of your time. Come find out how to make change in your own city and state, which will directly affect your practice.
Yeah. And then suppose if it's your brick and mortar, you don't want, that's your main goal, and that is what you want to do. You want to be a representative to your brick and mortar. So I would say that. Well, audience, it's about for the go. We say again, thank you for watching and joining us here at the Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul. And, as we leave from tonight, I always have a mantra that I always want to say. You are the key to your foundation. Don't let your foundation break because you used the wrong key. So I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Bowden-Hammond, and we will see you next week. Until next week, go and have yourself an amazing week and live on purpose.